Hello everyone, this is Cesar, and if you watch my last video in which I have explained why we have been disconnected from YouTube during the last months, you'll see that I have not been taking care of my guitars properly. I've not been here actually. So what happens is that I'm going through all of them to see how they are, and I have found this in my Alhambra 5P, right? So clearly, I mean, she was inside the case, but the string has broken. I'm sorry, probably you're gonna be stuck with some videos of me going through my guitars during a short period of time, because I'm going through all of them to see how they are. So what we are gonna do is we are gonna restring the guitar, right? We are also going to give it a little soft touch to the frets because they are a little bit kind of sticky. Imagine if the guitar wasn't in the case for this period of time. Imagine that. Anyway, so that's the idea. This is my 1994-1995 Alhambra 5P. So while we do all of the right things to the guitar, I'm going to explain to you why I only play classical Alhambra guitars. I don't play any other brand, and I'm not sponsored at all, right? There are somehow sentimental and personal reasons, and also professional reasons. And well, we are going to go through the basics of restringing a classical guitar and differences between the 5P and the 9P, which is the other Alhambra that I have. So stay tuned. The ones who follow my channel know that I am classically trained. I have my certificate hanging on the wall here. One day I will show you the wall. There's a lot of things, a lot of stuff hanging on those walls. Well, anyway, I have played many different brands, Cordobas, Ramirez, well, etc. And my favorite brand is always Alhambra. And I think that one is because I got my degree at the Conservatory of Music playing an Alhambra. And the second is because they are really very well built guitars. Alhambra has a comprehensive catalog. There are a lot of price points, right? This, the 5PCW, I think is now it will be around 1,700, 1,800 US dollars. I think so. I own two at this moment Alhambras. This one, the 5P, and the 9P. The 9P is a solid wood, all is solid, and this one, it has a solid top and laminated and sides and back. And honestly, it does not justify the price difference. This is an exceptional guitar, and for someone who already plays, I think it is a good investment, right? So this is my 5P. My 5P is retired from gigging, but it's not retired from practicing at home. So I use it a lot. When I have to record at the studio or at home and I need nylon strings, I use the 9P, right? But this one has served me for many, 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 many years. It has dings, it has scratches, but I try to keep the guitar in a pristine condition. It has a PSO, probably one of the first Fishman Pros. It's not a blend. Honestly, the Fishman blend that Alhambra is using in the 9Ps and using now, the blend for classical guitars, is not optimal at all. The Fishman blend that I have installed in my acoustic guitar, in my Angelus, is fantastic, but the system is not optimized for classical guitars. And honestly, I won't recommend installing one of those new Flex for classical guitars. The one that I have in my 9P, I will show you later, right? The other thing that has died during my absence is the gun, the IKEA gun that I was using to get rid of the strings, and now I've put it here until I get a new one. Anyway, so that's the idea. So we are gonna get rid of the strings, right? And we will discuss some particularities of the classical guitars versus, let me see if I can give you a better shot over there. Classical guitars versus acoustic and electric guitars, right? Debunk some of the myths. And again, This is how I do things. It doesn't mean that this is how you should be doing things. Has worked for me for many years. Think about the fact that this guitar is with me, it's 1995, let's say. It's 30 years with me, right? 30, right? So, it's a lot. And never given me any problem. I play for the life of me that this guitar is really heavily played. I think one of the tuners may have, no. Okay, so now that there's no tension, we will start getting rid of the old strings. Again, these are the strings that I'm going to use, are the strings that I have been always using, the Dario Pro Arte. In this particular case I'm going to put normal tension. You will find different tensions in strings for classical guitars. Generally are 5, but the most common are the high tension, the normal tension, and the low tension, right? So the normal tension makes it for me, and especially in this guitar. They are not going to put the bridge of the guitar under a lot of demand, let's say. They are not that demanding on the bridge, right? The Dario Pro Arte, and I think those are excellent strings for the price, right? So those are the ones we are going to put. Let me get rid of the rest of the strings and we will continue talking. Well, so Alhambra is making guitars in Spain in a village that is called Muro de Alcoy, right? In Valencia, like in Alicante actually, right? In Alicante, the autonomous community of Valencia, okay? Since the early 60s, I would say 1965, and well, they produce, in my opinion, the best classical guitars. When you are not looking for a specifically luthier design classical guitar, they have a line of guitars, I would say super high-end top, right, luthier guitars, but their guitars are all handmade in the factory, and those are, as I'm saying, excellent guitars. They have guitars for beginners, priced in very attractive price points, and then from the 5P and above are kind of conservatory guitars, right? This is a 5P and I own a 9P too, as I said. For me, it's the brand to go. The quality is fantastic, the sound is great, and I think they're beautiful. Well, so we are going to, as always, give it a pass with the erasers. First 600 and after that 1200. This guitar has some dents. It's 30 years, guys, 30 years, right? But the nylon strings are more gentle on the frets, right, than the steel strings, as you can imagine. We can comment some of the big differences, right? First of all, the fretboard, the neck of the classical guitars does not have any radius, it's flat. Well, technically the radius would be infinite, right? As per the mathematical formula, but bottom line is they're flat, right? So they don't have any curvature to the fretboard. And this is a big difference. The second is the fretboard is wider, of course. The third is, well, I mean, the scale length. They have a very particular scale length. I'm going to put a link here to one card, to one video that explains, I think, in a very comprehensive way, the differences between classical, electrical, and acoustic guitars. The other misconception that a lot of people have is about the action, right? You cannot pretend to have the same action in a classical guitar than the one you have in an acoustic or electric guitar. the action in classical guitars is much higher. Is much higher than in acoustic and in electric guitars. In fact, a low action in classical guitars can be considered 4 millimeters. This one has 3.5 millimeters, right, at the 12th fret, which is very low actually, right? I have a very soft touch, so it's another thing that I really enjoy playing Alhambras, that usually you are able to set them up to very low actions. The flamenco guitars have lower action than the classical guitars. Right? Other thing that people ask me, what's this? I mean, if you're a classical guitar player, why do you have cutaway in your classical guitars? Well, because I get it a lot. And on top of that, I like it. And on top of that, the preamps used to be installed in guitars with cutaway. And on top of that, I dare you to listen to a classical guitar with a cutaway and to the same guitar without a cutaway. You have the two options with Alhambras actually, and I dare you to notice the difference, if it is the same guitar model. The other discussion that is very frequent in YouTube disinformation channels, guitar disinformation channels, guitar misinformation channels, hype, right? Don't believe the hype, as I always say, is about laminated and solid wood. I have, I think, a very comprehensive video too about laminated sides and back versus solid sides and back. After many years playing, a lot of professional playing. The wife is cooking, so probably you have heard the kitchen clock. I can tell you that for me the important thing is that the top is solid, right? Top solid, laminated sides and back is a great combination, and again, right, it all depends on your budget. And I mean, it's a nice thing to have a complete solid guitar. My 9P is totally solid, but honestly, I don't think that this justifies such a big price difference. I understand that it's more complicated, whatever, the wood is more expensive, fine. But this is solid top, laminated sides and back, and it's a great guitar. Well, now we have already softened our frets. We're gonna just give it a drop, just a drop of the F1 oil, as always. The only feedback I have for the Music Nomad guys is, as I have said in a couple of videos, the container, really, this new model is really stupid. And see, this gets stuck, the applicator gets stuck on the cap, and then you need to take it out. See, it's a stupid thing. Engineers, do the right thing. And just a drop, okay? Just a drop. Is more for cleaning purposes than any other thing. Let's take the specific rag for that purpose. Well, you can see in the fretboard. Fretboard is ebony. They are done with prime materials. You can see that is really very heavily played and loved, as a guitar should be. Now, this one, the finish is poly all across the guitar. The 9P, the finish of the top is nitro. Another difference. Another difference, are the tuners. In the 9P, the tuners are kind of premium when you compare to the, say, standard Alhambra tuners, okay? The machines, actually. And they're black here, right? I mean, made of wood, etc. This is plastic perloid, but has served me for 30 years without any problem. We are not going to use oil in the bridge because the bridge is covered with finish, something that you will see in most of the classical guitars around. Okay, let me just give you a little bit of a close-up. So you see, it's not naked wood, like for example in the neck, right, in the fretboard. And another thing you would probably find in most of the classical guitars when they are quality classical guitars is that the nut is not glued. I have glued this one with just a drop of super glue many years ago for several reasons, but among them because when I change the strings I don't want the nut to go. But most of the classical manufacturers don't glue the nuts on their necks. That's how it is, right? Well, let's just give it a gentle pass with the Guitar Detailer Music Nomad. Pa, 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 pa. Especially in the surface where, let me just take the saddle, the strings are. It's full of dings, nicks. Let me show you. It's because it's a lovely guitar. Over there, tick, 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 over here. But it's a good thing. Okay. Fine. That will do it. And now let's go and string the guitar. With this, I want to be very clear. This is the way I do it. It's the way I was taught, right? And it works for me. I know there are many people who do different things, right? But I'm going to show you what I do. And for that, I'm going to go and show you the perspective from the bottom. Now, the good old friends from Dadario, in case you are disoriented, they show you that this is the 6th string, and at the same time it's the E, of course, okay? They do it with every string. I'm not going to go through the entire process of restringing the guitar because I have a good video. I will put a card here, okay, where I explain the entire process. Let me just focus on a couple of things that I want to reiterate. Not every string will be built like this, okay, not every brand, but in the case that the string, the wounded string that you're going to use has a springy, more spaced wound here, right? Down here, which is uniform, you see, this one is more, let's say, springy, right? I don't know if you're able to see it, but yeah, you can see it well. The part that is springy goes on the headstock, on the tuner. And now, this is important, what we are going to do here, so please pay attention. For the ones who are used to string acoustic and electric guitars, the normal direction would be this one. But if you do this in a classical guitar, you're going to hit the wall of the bridge here. Look, I mean, let me find the hole. It's very important finding the hole, Cesar. You see? Ta, 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 ta. So you always go in this direction. Okay? Good. You go here, and then you find the hole, and that's it. Okay? Good. Now, what I do, and again, this is the way I do things, is that I cross the string like this, and then give it a couple of turns like this. Look, 1, okay, and 2. And I make sure that the last one is on the back of the bridge here, right? Not on top, because if it is on top, it will detach. Then I just pull, and you see, this immediately stops the string immediately from detaching, okay? Because it's there at the back. Some people use this end here, put it like this, and then when they put the other string through the hole, they pass it underneath this one so it gets trapped. I never do that. I string every string individually, right? I install every string individually, and then I cut the excess here, because if there is any contact with the soundboard, you may have rattle, right, of buzzing here. So I cut it here at the level. And then I do this with all the strings. We go to the headstock, so you can watch the video where the entire process of stringing is done. Okay, so we're done already, and we are gonna cut, as I told you, at the level, right? So you don't have any string end in contact with the soundboard, and then you avoid that string end producing any rattle. I've seen that in many beginners coming with a guitar that apparently is okay from the frets point of view, and then there is this rattle and nobody knows where it's coming from. And basically it's coming from the soundboard here at the end, because the string vibrates and produces this really unpleasant sound, okay? Noise, right? Perfect. And now let me show you something at the headstock that I think is really very important and people don't pay, in my opinion, enough attention. Give me a second. Now this is your headstock, and now take a post-it and make it pass through the space that should be between the string and the routing where the tuners are installed. And this is very important, because if there's no space at all and you cannot pass the post-it through here, sorry, that was the sticky part, okay? What is going to happen is that you are going to have problems with intonation, tuning stability, etc., etc. You have to do that in the 6th and in the 1st string. 1st string and then 6th string. Okay, we assume that the rest of the strings are clearing the space without any problem. But this is really very, very important. The post-it has to clear that space, guys. And if the guitar that you're going to buy is built in a way that this does not happen, don't buy it. Maybe the strings are not put in the right way, but you need to make the post-it go through the space in the 6th and in the 1st string. So what is left is playing the guitar. There's another thing. Wait a second. And this is important too. So it was in tune and it's now out of tune. So what happens with the nylon string guitars is that they take much longer to get to tuning stability than steel strings. Stretching the string helps, but be careful how you stretch a nylon string, right? Be gentle. Do it firmly but gently, because if not, you can kind of produce micro breaks and then the string will never sound the same. It will take you a couple of days of tuning before the nylon strings get to tuning stability. I never use the devices that I think are called stretcha, that are underneath, go underneath the strings and across the entire fretboard. I never use those. I use the traditional good old stretching. Give it time, tune, detune, play, tune. A couple of days, never change nylon strings just immediately before a gig. You are not gonna sound in tune. The second song is gonna be out of tune, okay? Now, let's listen to the guitar. Okay, now let's listen to the guitar. It's going through the helix with just a pinch of reverb. I think it sounds fantastic. It's a piezo, very well done. You have several options here in the preamp, treble, mid, bass. You have, of course, volume. You have the phase and a notch, right? So, Alhambra 5P, if you find it, I think it's a great instrument. See you very soon in my next video. I hope you have enjoyed this one. If that's the case, please give it a thumbs up because I need to recover the channel. See you very soon, as I say, in my next video, and up to that moment, please play your guitars, have fun, and be good. Bye!